It happened back in 1996. My childhood took place in the Far East, in the city of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky. Although I was born in Sevastopol, we were forced to move there because my father was a serviceman. The place itself was wonderful. Stunning nature, great people, amazing experiences, mushroom picking, local fishing, hunting, all of it was unforgettable. But among all that beauty, there was one big downside. The houses. They were half empty, old 5-story buildings. Out of 12 apartments in an entrance, only about 4 or 5 were occupied. At that time I was about 6 years old. We lived in a small one-room apartment, together with my mother and father. We also had a Scottish terrier named Lord, about my age. We had found him once during a walk in the forest, and since then he became part of the family. One night, I woke my parents because I heard strange scratching sounds. At first, they didn't believe me, but then they also heard it. It wasn't my imagination. The sounds came from the basement, directly under our bathroom. After a while the noise stopped, and for a week nothing happened again. Everyone forgot about it. But one morning during breakfast, my father complained that he had woken up because the bathroom's ventilation grate had fallen, and Lord was barking furiously at the door, throwing himself against it. My father tried to calm him down, but it didn't work. He switched on the bathroom light, forced open the latch on the stuck door, and went inside. No one was there, only the grate lay on the floor. He put it back in place, but the strange noises from the vent worried him, and he couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. We told our acquaintances about it, and everyone assumed it must be rats. They advised us to get a cat, so we did. I picked up a big strong stray cat from the street and named him Vasya. I was afraid Lord would attack him, but they got along fine. At night, we would lock Vasya in the bathroom, and in the morning we'd find him sleeping contentedly next to the remains of a court rat. Everyone calmed down. Life returned to normal. A couple of weeks later, I was coming home after dark. Our apartment was on the first floor, and the entrance had 2 doors, one on each side of the building. One of them was always locked, and near it, there was a pile of garbage and discarded furniture. To make matters worse, the light bulb in our entrance had been stolen, and no one bothered to replace it. I was walking up to the door when suddenly I heard strange sounds coming from the cluttered side of the building. Then came a terrifying hiss. I froze in fear. My whole body refused to move. Somehow, trembling, I found the doorbell and pressed the button, but the cold, paralyzing fear wouldn't let go. The hissing grew louder and closer, as if it was right next to me. I couldn't even scream. It felt like if I turned away, the thing would leap at me. Suddenly the hissing stopped. I saw light through the peephole and heard the lock turning. My mother opened the door, and the light from the hallway flooded over me. I dashed into the apartment, slamming the door shut behind me with a deafening bang, locking both bolts. For a split second, I thought I saw the outline of some creature the size of a man, with 2 glowing ruby red eyes, but not human eyes, blood red eyes. I was shaking all over, teeth chattering, pale as chalk. No one believed me. They said I must have seen a cat, but I couldn't sleep peacefully anymore. The fear stayed with me for a long time, and to be honest, who would believe a 6-year-old boy? Eventually, things calmed down. Nightmares stopped. Even I started to think it was just my imagination. Then spring came. We went out of town for a barbecue, the whole family, taking Lord with us. We left in the morning and returned late at night. My father entered the apartment first and froze on the spot, dropping the bag he was carrying. He immediately ordered me and my mother to go outside. We spent the next 2 nights at my father's colleague's place. Later I found out what had happened. When my father came inside, he saw a bloody trail leading from the bathroom to the kitchen, and in the kitchen lay Vasya, dead, mauled as if by some beast. We had released the cat onto the street when we left for the picnic, but as usual, he climbed back in through the window. The window had been left ajar. The bloody trail led to the ventilation shaft. Whatever it was had come from there. After Vasya's death, we never spent another night in that apartment. Word spread quickly, and one day an old woman came to us. She said she used to live in the same entrance, on the same floor. She told us that many years earlier, her family had been forced to move out after the death of her infant granddaughter. She explained that once, the child's mother had to leave the baby alone in the apartment for just an hour. When she returned, the baby's face had been horribly mauled. The little girl died a week later. Soon after, my father retired from the Navy, and we moved back to Sevastopol. The Konchatka apartment was sold. Half a year later, more than 15 years passed, and no one in my family wanted to talk about it anymore. But once, an old childhood friend of mine, Tolik, came to visit us in Sevastopol. Over drinks, we remembered our childhood, and he told me what happened in that building after we left. A homeless man who tried to sleep in one of the abandoned apartments was later found eaten. The police were informed, but the story was hushed up. Residents of nearby houses began leaving cats in the basements, but the cats were all torn apart. Later they spread rat poison everywhere, and after that nothing strange happened again. Tolik, who worked as a plumber, said that about 6 months later they had to repair pipes in that same basement. They saw no rats, but they did find something strange, a huge, decomposed, mummified body. It was impossible to tell exactly what it had been, and no one really wanted to know.